the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with KindaRealNate. Here's another OMFL production.
Good morning and welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. I am your host, KindaRealNate, the commissioner and founder of the OMFL and the Grown Folks online community. And as always, I got two of my three buddies because one is still sleeping somewhere in La La Land. But Mr. Maniac and Mr. Dawson, you've made it. Good morning, fellas. How you doing on a Saturday morning?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Doing wonderful.
It is bright and early. These I don't know what I'm doing staying up till 2 in the morning playing PUBG and then getting up at 9. I am way too old for that kind of stuff. But if you're gonna party hard, you got to get up and get rolling. So this is our playoff prediction show, man. I cannot believe Maniac. I think you were the one who posted it the other day about. We were getting a season in, would you say, every 6 to 7 weeks or something like that?
Yeah, that's what I was figuring up. I was going back, looking when we were posting a draft show to the time that we were doing the playoffs. We're knocking them out at 6 to 7 weeks.
That is absolutely crazy to me. I mean, again, only 00 will have this context, but I mean, guys, we were one advance per week league for 5-6 years, right? Like that was like the max. I remember conversations when guys were like, let's go to 2 advances, and I was like, I can't handle 2 advances, and now it's like almost every 24 hours we have an advance. It's just crazy. It was never, I mean, we were a 3-day advance league, but we always advance when games are done, and guys are just getting games done, and so it just speaks to the hard work of everybody. Especially to Bill and to Kevin, who handle scheduling. It just makes everybody's life much easier. So I appreciate everybody's hard work that they're putting in. Well, let's just jump into it. Let's talk about our games from these past weeks, and then we'll talk about the playoffs and talk about what we see and what we think is going to happen. So, Maniac, I'm going to start with you this week. What was your favorite game from the past 3 weeks? I think we're in week 16. We just advanced, I think, late last night. So weeks 13, 14, or 15?
Well, I'm going to go with week 14. And then I'm going to take my former team that I had, the Bucks, and little Coach. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but he gets his.
Is it? If we go with Little Cooch, I can't with Little Cooch.
But he gets his first win in the big leagues here in the OMFL. He gets a win over the Raiders, 27-24, and just kind of deep diving a little bit into the game and stuff. I noticed that this game was pretty action packed on the offensive side of the ball. There was 757 combined offensive yards from both teams in this game. So no lack of offense in this game as far as yardage wise. And then the other thing that I did notice from this game was that he actually got Mr. Ronald Jones kind of back on track. I had actually struggled quite a bit with that team the first part of the season, getting Jones on track, and he ends up with 38 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, I think, on just 12 carries. So he was getting it done between the hashes with Jones, getting that rushing attack solidified and going there in Tampa. But again, like I said, this was a big monument thing for him. Obviously, maybe he doesn't even look at it this way and stuff. But I kind of looked at it that way. getting his first OMFL win, and he's done a good job. I've noticed that he's really turned that team kind of to his style. He changed to a 3-4 from a 4-3. But for this game, the big story was the Raiders had 3 turnovers, interceptions that was thrown, and that was a big difference. The Bucks just did a better job of taking care of the ball, and it obviously prevailed with him actually having that rushing attack, and it's going to be interesting to see how he transforms that team going forward.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he adjusts. There are definitely a few little FPR issues that have come up during his time here. It's never a good sign when your first 3 or 4 feedback forms all have to be watched. But look, it takes guys a chance to adjust. The OMFL2 is trying their hardest to get guys ready, but the OMFL2 is still a young league, and so it takes some time to get used to that. I'll also say that the Raiders are just a confusing team to me, and what happened to them, and maybe this is one of those conversations we can have on another show after we get into the playoffs, but I mean, this was one of those just really good teams that just kind of fell apart this year and couldn't seem to win the games that it needed to win. And this was just one of those classic examples. I mean, if I'm got this right, I think he had to go with a oh no, this is Josh Allen that he traded for last year. That's right. Josh Allen's been up and down, and I mean, look, Josh comes out here and throws 2 picks. His defense allows Teddy Bridgewater to throw for a decent percentage, but that running game just kind of ran all over him. And the Raiders are at their best whenever they have a running game and they play efficient quarterback play, and they just haven't been able to do that this season. So tough season for the Raiders, but congratulations to little coach and his first win here in the OMFL. Mr. Dawson, what was your favorite game from weeks 13, 14, or 15?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a Week 14 game. Both teams are still trying to fight for a playoff spot. I think both still have a chance. The winner kind of solidified his spot into it. Got double-digit wins now. I'm going to go with the Ravens and Titans. Like I said, Mikey and Tim have been great competitors this year. They've been fighting tooth and nail. I think Tim is actually the only team that has beat the Colts this season. So that's I guess a notch on his head or on his sheet right now. But going to the game, it was a 6-point game. It was total was 26-20. Lamar Jackson, he was pretty consistent. He was 9 for 10, 163 yards. I wish I get Cam like that. Going off record, I think my game last night, Cam went 0-10 and 2 picks straight out of the cut. So I wish I could at least go 9 for 10 on a few of those games. With that being said, I think that was probably the telling sign. Mikey was able to keep it consistent, not throw any of those turnovers. He did have a little rushing game. He started running. Golden was 14 rushes for 57 yards, had a rushing touchdown. But if you go to the team on Titans side, Jameis Winston went 16 for 28, 243 yards, 1 touchdown. He did have 1 pick. That 1 turnover was probably a big turning side for the game. I didn't watch it. But I do see that stat of Zeke only having 27 rushing yards, so that's a big. I guess that's a low number compared to how star Zeke is. I'm not sure what happened if well, we all know Mike with the nipple cripplers. The way they have been stopping the run all season. I think there's a consistent top 5 team all through the season. So we know how good they are with stopping the run. Maybe that was the cause of it, because he only allowed a total of 34 rushing yards. Like I said, penalties kind of went on Titans' side. He had 3 penalties compared to 1. Third down conversion was pretty much similar. Really, it was a tooth and nail game, and it came down where the Ravens won by 6 points and kind of grabbed at least one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, the Ravens have been, again, a team that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Look, I knew that Mackey was putting it together, but not like this. I got to admit, I did not see this becoming a 10-win season for him. Jackson has had his moments, but I think Mackey is learning how to be efficient with him. And holy crud, how do you hold Ezekiel Elliott to under 30 yards rushing? That's amazing. And 12 of those 30 came on one play. Kudos to that defense. I mean, that Ravens defense was flying around, making plays, and he was just efficient enough on offense to be able to turn those turnovers into touchdowns and come away with a victory. So kudos to the Ravens. A very, very big win for him. A spectacular season, and he's able to get it into the playoffs. Let's talk about those playoffs, man. It is playoff time. It is almost here. It's going to be an awesome playoff because we got so many teams that are going to be new and so many teams fighting for some playoff supremacy and some playoff action here. So let's just jump right into it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's just jump. I'm sorry, I paused. I heard a kid show, and I was like, whoa, whose kids are singing? It's got to be Mr. Maniac, though.
Yeah, no kids over here.
Let's talk about the AFC playoffs. Let's talk about who is in. So that's what we're doing. Who's going to be in, and who's going to make it all the way to OMFL Bowl number 82 from the AFC. Mr. Dawson, I'm going to toss it over to you first for this one. You got the Colts at number 1 seed right now, the Dolphins at the number 2 seed, the Bengals at the number 3 seed, the Chargers at number 4, the Ravens at number 5, and the Patriots at number 6. But it's not set in stone. There's still some teams that are in the hunt. Jacksonville Jaguars are 7. They're right on the outside. The Titans right behind them at 8. The Jets right there behind him at 9. And the Browns, who've turned it on lately, right there at number 10. Who makes it, and then how do those matchups get all the way to the OMFL Bowl? You don't have to break down every single one if you don't want, but at least tell me who you think will represent the AFC and OMFL Bowl number 82.
Yeah, so like you said, I think the AFC West is still yet to be determined. You got the Chargers sitting nicely at 8-6. Then you have Broncos at I think 6-8. But if you look at their divisional record, Broncos are 4-1, whereas the Chargers are sitting at 3-2. They do play at the week 17, so that's going to be really whoever wins, I think, gets in. I'm not really sure. I'm assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong. If it does it for the divisional winner, it goes by division first, not by overall record.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay. So Broncos come out with a better divisional record, even though the overall record is at the time 6-8. Well, I guess it could be 7-8. Or 7-9, they can still get into the playoffs over the Chargers, who has a better overall record. So that's something that Bill needs to watch out for. I guess he needs to, if he wants to get in, he's going to win in Week 17. I do see him winning in Week 17. So I see him getting that West division. And then that leaves the Patriots, and at the moment, Patriots and Ravens for the wild card.
Can I pause you just really fast? Yeah. I just want to say that. I just put it on the screen. The Chargers are actually live right now, 21-31. Chargers are losing to the Patriots in snowy New England. 1:17 left to go in the fourth quarter. Chargers are trying to drive, but this one looks like it's going to be wrapped up pretty soon. So just a really live, quick update on that game since you brought it up.
Okay, so So if it does come out where he loses, he goes 8-7. So he will need a win in Week 17 to get that playoff spot. And I do like how Brady and his Jags are winning now, and they're 9-6. They're trying to compete for that last wild card spot. I just don't see them overcoming a Ravens and Patriots team with them already a 10-win season. Already have that win over them. I could be wrong. I guess if Ravens and Patriots, I guess Patriots win, that make them 11-4. And if Ravens do lose the last two, that will make it interesting for that last wild card spot. But for the purpose of the show, I'm going to say the Ravens is going to continue to win and will get that wild card spot. So that leaves, like you said, the Colts, the Dolphins, Bengals, Chargers, Patriots, and Ravens in the AFC. I'm not going to break down exactly every game because I'm always wrong every season. So I'm just going to say I think we can all agree that the chances of the same team in the AFC making it to the OMFL Bowl is pretty high, considering that Colts are looking at 13-1, 2 games left. He can probably rest his starters and still get the #1 seed if he wants to the next 2 games. But I am going to say there are some solid teams in the AFC that could dethrone him. We never can leave out Cincy and his Bengals. He's always been a threat here. I can remember the first time I played him when I first joined, and I had the Rams, he had the Patriots. And that first year, when the Rams moved to LA, their away jerseys were the solid colors. And then, of course, I played them at New England, so we both wore the blue. But just want to, since if you're listening, I did not pick the solid colors. It was just the way it was automatic. And but what I'm getting at is that it was a 3-point game, and that was as close as I've ever been beating him at that time. I think we played him several times. I played him several times so far, and I've lost a lot, by a lot. He can always. This is crunch time to him. He's always can play his best, and during the playoffs, I never can leave him out because he can be down by 21 going in the fourth quarter and make it a game. Just the way he can, his play calling, getting in the groove of things, knowing what to call at the right time, and such things like that. So he's a solid threat against the Colts. Patriots, when he first moved up from the deuce, I think he made the bowl against the 49ers.
Yeah.
So he's always a threat too. I know he's been quiet in the main chat. Maybe it's something to do with he's busy with life or whatever. But he's always a threat at this time of the year too. And you just never can't leave him out. Just the way he has the Patriots team clicking, setting it. Well, if you said the game ends, it'd be 11-4, and potentially fighting Dolphins for that #2 seed if you want to look at it, because the Patriots got a better divisional record than the Dolphins if he comes up and beat the Jets in Week 17. So if he does beat the Jets, then I guess that will put him in the 2 seed. But that's a lot of moving around, so we'll just stick in the wild card at the moment. So yeah, he's always tough to beat. And then you got Dolphins. Kevin, I know not being negative or anything, but last cycle.
Not being negative, but let me be negative.
I'm not being. I'm just saying he kind of grew. He started last season.
Yeah.
I guess you can say he was the middle of the pack team, and then he grew up, grew his team, improved his team. And last cycle, I think the last season we was in, he made the AFC Championship or made it to the bowl game. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but he actually made Dolphins relevant ever since 1972 when they went undefeated. So he's making it. He's got things clicking. He's got that team where he wants to do, where he wanted to be at. So right now, I think those 3 teams are top threats. I'm not saying anything against the other teams that make the playoffs, but I mean, on top of my head, if I'm betting man, I'm gonna go with the Colts winning the AFC overall. You got to give Dakota his credit as well. I mean, the way he plays the game. I know we're much like the NFL. We're a copycat league. When we see something that's working, we're going to copy it. And that same thing with what we've been doing the last few seasons. And so you got to give him the recognition. The way he has, won his games, and the way he's been playing this season, nonetheless. I can't remember if he went undefeated last season or not. Maybe he lost 1 game. I wish he was on so he can, correct me, but. Overall, I think the top AFC team. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody else, but I'm going to go with a safe bet and say Colts will make it to the season 82 OMFL Bowl.
Yep. You can't take anything away from those teams. That's a really good breakdown of the AFC. Mr. Maniac, how do you see the AFC breaking down?
Well, I'm kind of like Dawson. I'm pretty much got it kind of the way it's set. I was intrigued with how Brady kind of came on late in playoff spot, but I think ultimately that's going to fall through for him. Excuse me. This is the way I have my excuse me. Have my rating so far right now. It's the Pats at number 6, Ravens at 5, Chargers would be the number 4 seed. But that loss today, I was kind of actually anticipating him winning the game against the Pats and kind of solidifying that. But I just saw that he just did lose that game 31-21. So he's got to win that next game against the Broncos. So it's going to be a winner takes all pretty much game in that final game there for the West. But I still believe that Bill's going to pull that one out. So we're going to leave him at number 4. The Bengals will be number 3, Dolphins at number 2, and the Colts at number 1. So if that's the way that seeding takes place, and you have number 6 playing the Bengals, and then the number 5 team playing the Chargers. I've got the Bengals topping the Patriots in that game, moving on to the next round, and then I have the Ravens defeating the Chargers in that wild card game. And then moving on to the divisional round, you have the Dolphins would be hosting the Bengals, and then the Colts would be hosting the Ravens. I have the Dolphins pulling out win versus the Bengals. He's always seemed to play Cincy really well. So I see him pulling out a close one there, and then the Colts would then be playing the Ravens, and that would be a close game as well. I think again, like Dawson has said, that teams have kind of started mimicking what Dwayne has accomplished there with the Colts, with the power rushing attack and just kind of controlling the clock, controlling the ball. And the Ravens are kind of that typical form as well. They control the ball, try to limit turnovers. And I think he's even said in the chat where he said that he takes take the field goal over the turnover, and so it's definitely paying off for him. You're looking at a 10-4 record right now. So, but that game would go down, and the Colts would put that one out. And if that happens, then we're looking at a Dolphins versus Colts championship game, I think, which would also be a rematch of last season's championship game in the AFC. And the Dolphins and the Colts have already played a game this season, and the game was I thought was really close, but I also thought the Dolphins kind of maybe had found a little bit of a nick and a kink into Wayne's defense.
Really?
And, yeah, because that was the game that Kenny Stills had like 200-something yards receiving and 3 touchdowns or something like that. So I felt like he may have kind of found something there, and so with that in mind, I'm looking at the Dolphins pulling up an upset in the championship game, winning 34-31 and advancing to.
Wow. Well, that'll catch people's attention right there. We'll see how that works out for you. Yeah, look, I don't like to do seeds because there's so many variables that I just don't have time to go study for. Right, like if we got paid to do this, I would do this, real analytical, but we don't. And so I will just say though that the teams that we see in there, I think will be in there. There may be some flip-flopping of teams here. So like Dawson, I'm not going to try to break down every game because I'm not sure how it's actually going to play out. I will say this, that the Patriots are a team, quiet or not, you can never count him out. I mean, he showed what he can do against the Chargers today, coming away with a really big victory in the snow at home against a very, very good, talented Chargers team who beat me the other day, right? Like, that team can play really good defense, and the Patriots hung 31 on them. The Baltimore Ravens are a team that just plays spectacular defense. I do wonder, though, is he going to have enough offense to actually win a game in the playoffs, because you get in the game of the playoffs, everybody plays great defense. You get in the game of the playoffs, everybody can pick you off. Everybody can turn you over. When you get into the playoffs, everybody can run the ball. Like, it is the best of the best of the best here in the OMFL, and I think that the Ravens are benefiting from an easier schedule than normal, right, because he had a tough year last year. He has figured some things out. I just think that getting a taste of the playoffs this year is going to be step one for him, and then learning how to win in the playoffs will be step two that will happen as he continues to progress. I don't see him going deep. I really do think, I know he lost today, but Bill and the Chargers will be a team to watch for in the AFC playoffs, because he's in. All of these teams are almost completely 100% in, but Bill has already wrapped up that division, and he's going to be in. And because of that, he's a veteran. He knows how his team plays. He plays really good defense. And if you show up in the playoffs and take Bill lightly, you're going to drop a game. You're going to lose a game to him. He's going to be a tough out in round one of the playoffs. So I'm just telling you now, watch for the Chargers in the playoffs. The Bengals are the Bengals. They are just a great offensive team, a team with a lot of firepower. I'll say this. Look, Dwayne went through it. Maniac has went through it. The Patriots, to a small extent, has been through it. Look, as stubborn as he is, and maybe not going through it right now, but he's went through it in the past. But Brady in the past, when he was the Bucks, had to go through it. Everyone kind of goes through this phase where their game has to change, and Cincy has really went through that this past season, where he has like dramatically tried to change the way he plays Madden to fit FPR better and more efficiently, and he's figured that out, man, and he's still an 11-win team, probably going to finish to be a 12-win team, top seed. You just never can count him out, and I would love to see like Bengals, Patriots, well, any of those teams, like Bengals, Ravens, offense against defense, Bengals, Patriots, two teams that play very similar with a lot of firepower against each other. Bengals, Dolphins would be a great game, right? Cincy and Kevin. The Dolphins, again, they're one of those teams that just out of nowhere in this Madden has like put it all together, and they figured out how to win. And man, he is a team to be reckoned with. As you said, he pushed Dwayne to his limit last season. A 12-win team, probably going to be a 13-win team before it's over. And then you got the Colts at 13-1, just a team that is spectacular from top to bottom. You have to play perfectly when you play Dwayne. I mean, you just do. You can't turn the ball over. You got to run for at least 100 yards. You got to control the clock. Like, you have to play perfectly when you play this team, and it's just puts so much pressure on you. The thing I do like about the Dolphins is that at 12-3, he's got the Patriots at 10-4 on his heel. That means that there's pressure every week to show up and to play the perfect game and to come away with the win. And I think that type of year helps you whenever you play a Dwayne. Because when you show up and there's pressure on every single play, you're used to that pressure. You know how to manage that pressure. You know how to push through and let that pressure make you efficient. So yeah, man, this is going to be a hell of a playoffs. But I got to go with Dwayne. Just the guy play flawlessly. Like, I've never played anyone who week in, week out, play out, drive in, drive out, is so efficient and so perfect in everything that he does. You really have to play perfectly and hope that some way, somehow, he drops the ball. So I do think that the Indianapolis Colts will represent the AFC. But man, that is going to be a fun playoff to watch over there in the AFC. I know that we this year, just because of the holiday season, I've been so busy, have not been able to host any games this season. But maybe this playoffs we can try to find some games that we can host, get Maniac to hop on with me, and we'll do a little live streaming and live commentary. Kevin is on the show. Thanks everybody who's turning in to the show. I think we've got 6 people that are on right now. It's always a little hit and miss on Saturday mornings. People usually sleeping in, but Kevin is already upset that we have put too much pressure on him with all of these callings. He's not a happy fan of yours right now, Mr. Maniac. All right, let's hop over to. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Kev. You can do it though.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a hell of a playoff. I really do. That. Again, I will say that I think if there were any playoffs where Dwayne could not represent, this could be the one, because there are some real firepower teams over in the AFC. Let's hop over to the NFC. Mr. Dawson, I'm going to let you go first right now. We got my Saints at number 1 seed, which all of you should be fired from playing Madden ever again for allowing me to be a number 1 seed. That should never be a thing. I don't know how it is a thing, but it is a thing. The Seahawks at the number 2 seed at 11-3. The Cowboys at the number 3 seed. The Bears number 4. Falcons at number 5. The Washington Redskins at number 6. Then you got the Giants nipping on their heels at number 7. The Cardinals at number 8 with this late season push. The San Francisco 49ers, they've struggled this year at number 9, but man, I think it's going to be really tough for them to make it. They'd have to win out. The Panthers at number 10 at 7-8. It's going to be tougher in the NFC, but how do you see the NFC playing out?
Yeah, to make it short, I think we just better run to the store and grab some milk and bread and some eggs, because we finally hit the start of the apocalypse this cycle. So it's similar to Dakota, just in his Colts. It's just the way he's been running the NFC this season. I know he's playing possum at the moment, but I do see him. He kind of got the gears grinding in this cycle, so it will be interesting. To make it short, I do see Mo claiming the NFC, but he does have some top threats to keep him from getting in the OMFL.Bowl. I think the only spot that's still questionable is the wild card spot, because I think it's a three-team race. You got the Redskins, Giants, and Cardinals. I think last podcast I said that we wouldn't see a 9-7 playoff team in the NFC, and I was wrong completely, because I think we can actually see an 8-8 team make the playoffs. Just the way I think all 3 of us has been playing recently. I fell short last night against the Panthers, and actually Colin is still in the race if he wants to get in, because I know he beat me, so he has the tiebreaker over that if we do all go 8-8. But I'm not sure how he played against Giants, and if he even played the Cardinals. I haven't looked into that. But with that being said, I do. Of course, I'm going to pick myself to make the playoffs. But for the purpose of the show, I want to pick the Cardinals making the playoffs. I think Pepper's out of town, so he's got 2 computer teams. He plays the Bengals and Cowboys, 2 tough teams that he's going to win out on, or let the computer win out.
That's tough.
And the Cardinals, Mo Deli, he has the tiebreaker over me. So even if we go 8-8, he has the tiebreaker. So I do see him getting in the playoffs if I lose in Week 17 against the Bengals. But as far as threats, the Cowboys, you can't knock on him, because he made the bowl last season. He's been consistent throughout this season. He's giving me my 2 divisional losses. So even if he loses out or whatever, that I'm still actually I lost last night. He should clinch the division once we advance. He should at least say it in the game. Hats off to him, especially with a loaded basic team starting the cycle. You know how Madden loves those Cowboys. But the way he's been playing with the user stick skills, winning the NFC East three years in a row, 3 seasons in a row is pretty good, pretty impressive. I'm hoping Pepper, Savante, or myself can kind of whip up on the Cowboys next season. In reality, just me. Hopefully, I can get these. But it should be a great division next season, because I think all of us has got things clicking. Cowboys, he's got some teams or some players he's going to have to either re-sign or let go. And I know how how dangerous he is with OBJ. I think when I last played him, he was hurt, and so Savante, he got some good upsets over. I think the Cowboys and I can't think of the other team he beat, back to back. And so those are some top wins there. So he's got things clicking over in Philly. But my next team, I want to go with the Saints. I know Nate, I don't put the evil voodoo on the Saints, especially in the NFL playoffs this weekend.
Oh,
But
see, why'd you even have to say that? Like, there's some things you don't say. Oh,
okay,
you just did it. I can't.
just admit it.
Oh, I cannot believe you just said that. That's it. I'm driving to Arkansas.
With that being said, I do see the Saints being a contender this OMFL season with the playoffs. I mean, the way you went out there and you got your quarterback replacement over Breeze, and he's just, from what I can tell, he's been playing great. And your defense is clicking. So late in the season, I haven't looked at your schedule, so I don't know who you play. So I'm not sure your remaining games. But
Bucks and Panthers.
Okay, so I do see you clinching at least that 1 or 2 seed. So that will help you down the road. At least gives you a home game. But Falcons is kind of clicking at your heels. He's been quiet all season. Not sure if it was from the quipping of the way he built his team last season, or what, or if he's just been busy with life. But
I think it's 100% what you just said.
But I mean, he's been playing really well. I mean, since he's been back in the league, since I've been here, he's been a top team. I never can count him out in the game. Just the way he plays. He can stop you on the run, and then you have to rely on his kind of beat out his fast cornerbacks, and it's never go well for me when I have to face a fast cornerback. But he did get some luck. He did get a computer win. I think Colin tried to play his computer and lost. So in the end, that kind of actually helped me with Colin being the same record as me. So overall, I do see him being a threat in the playoffs, and you can't count him out. You can't count the Bears out. I mean, I know we like to knock on the North, but he's setting 8-6 and can easily go in 10-6 and can be a top, a tough team going out in that divisional or the wild card. In the divisional round. So it's going to be tough. But I overall, I do see Mo and the Hawks making it. I think Darren Gillette is out for 5 weeks compared to or showing on Daddy's League, so that might be wrong.
No, I think he is.
Okay, so he's got his top defensive lineman out, but that's not really saying much because he has I think 5 other guys that are 85 overall on the defensive line. So I do see him the way he's played. He just I think we played back in week 12 or 13, something like that, and he just demolished me the way he ran the ball. 83 speed running back, I think he had 167 yards on me. So it was very tough, and I think he's got things clicking, and I do see them coming out and representing the NFC in the Season 82 Bowl.
Yep, there are some really good teams in the NFC. I do think that for the first time in a long time, though, the AFC really has all the firepower. Mr. Maniac, what do you think about your old NFC over here? How do you see this playing out?
Well, there is a lot of stuff. A lot of happened. It's like last playoff spot. It's just kind of it's up in the air, and I really wanted to see Mr. Dawson lock down that last spot, but with his opponent in the final week, unless he just the Bengals are satisfied where he's at and he rests some players and gives Dawson a little bit, maybe a better chance. I just don't see Dawson able to lock down that last spot, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope you prove me wrong. But I'm going to kind of do like I did with the AFC. I'm going to label my teams 6 through 1. I've got the Cardinals solidifying that last spot, picking up the number 6 seed. The Falcons, I think there's a chance that he could overtake Nate that division title, but I don't think he quite pulls it out of the hat. I'm going to leave him at number 5. The Bears have all but pretty much solidified themselves as the champion there in the North, so they're going to keep that number 4 seed. The Dallas Cowboys will be coming in at number 3, and then I don't see or anticipate any change with the number 2, number 1 seed. It could flip-flop there, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks staying at number 2, Saints at number 1. And that'll bring up some interesting matchups. And I know you said you don't get paid to do this stuff, but I actually stayed up variables and stuff. So
no, you do your homework. I love it.
If this is the way the playoffs fall out, then we're going to have probably one of the biggest rematches so far from season 82, and that would be the Cardinals facing the Dallas Cowboys again, just after a really great close game a couple weeks back where the Cowboys kind of pulled off a miracle to win, I believe, 28-26. And that's going to put the Falcons facing the Bears, the number 4 and 5 seed. I see the Falcons pulling out a tougher matchup than what you'd see on paper. I mean, obviously the Falcons have got a better record from the season, but the Bears just seem like they have a really good balanced team, and he's pretty decent on the defensive side of the ball. He definitely makes you earn every bit that you get in the game. But I see the Falcons pulling that one out and advancing, and then we get the rematch versus the Cowboys. And I think Cardinals gets his revenge. He comes out, pulls out the upset win over the Cowboys, which then that would advance the Falcons and the Cardinals to the next round. The lower seed would go to the number 1, and then the higher seed would then go to the number 2. So then you'd have the Falcons versus the Seahawks, the Dirty Bird Bowl, and then you'd have the Cardinals versus the Saints. And the matchup with the Seahawks and the Falcons, I'd have Mr. Mo and that dynamic ground and pound attack that he has. He's been okay on defense. I think the problem that he's maybe struggled with some this year has been on the defensive side of the ball and throwing, but controlling the game on the ground with that rookie running back that he has is just a phenomenal beast of a man that just runs the ball and just I don't know. I think guys could put 10 guys in the box and he still would bulldoze through them. But he's going to pull out that win versus the Falcons. And then you have the Cardinals versus the Saints. I think it's going to be a tight one. But I think the Saints and Nate's going to prevail in that one. Bringing up a Seahawks number 2, number 1 seed versus the Saints in the championship game. And this one is going to be a back and forth game. You're going to have basically kind of 2 stark difference of a battle here. You're going to have the Saints that are really solid on defense, hard to move the ball against, hard to run against, versus a team that is really good at running the ball, not so well throwing the ball. And then the Saints are on the opposite end of that. You seem to light it up when it comes to the passing. I mean, obviously your Pro Bowl quarterback that has been leading the vote getters in the NFC right now has shown. And the Saints will pull this one out 24-21 to represent the NFC in the OMFL.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of pressure, man. The guys are in the chat on YouTube also saying the same thing. I think you guys think way too highly of my smoke and mirrors that I've been putting on here, but I will say that the NFC playoffs are they're heavy hitters, right? There are some really, really good teams. The way you played out that scenario would probably be my favorite way to do it. I admit I don't want to play the Falcons, and even kind of looking at this, I think if I win the game today, which happens right after the show, I lock up the NFC South, and then it's like, okay, do I take the chance and fight for that number 1 seed in week 17? Do I sit starters so that I don't have any injuries? Because it can happen, right? Like, yeah, your season can end on one really bad play I've already lost my starting defensive end and starting or backup running back, my power back for the season. So yeah, like it just takes one really bad play and it's over, right? And things can go badly. And it's like, ooh, like do I want the lower seed so that I can not have to maybe face the Falcons? Because I do think that they'll win their wild card game. So, look, I think Washington's in. That's who I'm pulling for. Dawson has rebounded this season, hit a little speed bump there in the middle, but I think that he's starting to get his team figured out. And because of that, I think he's in. He's going to squeeze in, but I think he's in. And I think that the way we kind of see things right now is kind of how they're going to play out. I think that there may be some flip-flopping at the top. I don't think that there's a way I can fall below 2, and I think that I may fall. It just kind of depends. I never know which Saints team is going to show up. This team that dropped the game against the Panthers early in the season, the team that dropped a game against the Chargers a couple weeks ago, or the team that completely demolished and picked off the Broncos 5 times. I don't know. I don't know what team's going to show up, but I think that the way we see it is the way it's going to play out. It's going to lead to some really, really good matchups. The way you were breaking down some of those games, those are going to be great games. Like a Falcons-Cowboys game would be amazing. A Falcons-Seahawks game would be spectacular. A Bears-Redskins game, 2 defensive teams, that would be a good one. Then if I do play Mo, Mo and I used to be in the same division when I was the Cardinals. We just had some classic battles way back in the day. I think that would make for some good games. So, look, I'm going to have to go with the Seattle Seahawks. With my caveat of being, it would not shock me at all if the Atlanta Falcons represent the NFC at all in the OMFL Bowl 82, just because they're a very good team. They've been playing possum this year. They've been quiet in chat. They look, give him respect, right? He tanked clearly, but he's also taken all the beat back from tanking. He has not opened his mouth one time about what we've said on the show, about what people say about him in chat, about Maniac changing his name. He's given me no blowback. He's taken his medicine like a man, and I've got to give him some respect for that, man. But they are a very, very talented team. The best starting cornerback duo, I think, in the game. Best starting 3 cornerbacks in the game. Still surprised that he's playing with Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan has had a very efficient, very good season. Got my Pro Bowl vote this year. But I just think, again, what you said about the Seahawks, what you both said about the Seahawks is going to reign true. He plays really, really great defense, very, very fast in every aspect of the game, and then has a running back that just helps him control the clock. And so I do think that the Seattle Seahawks will represent the NFC in OMFL Bowl number 82. So that brings us to our predictions. Let's get to it. Let's jump right into it. Maniac, give me your prediction. You've picked your teams for OMFL Bowl 82. Remind us who those teams are. Give us your prediction. How does OMFL Bowl 82 play out? Is that D-Wayne? Is D-Wayne calling in? Is he awake now?
No, I haven't got anything, so that's it.
He's calling in to refute all the negativity. Again, my matchup would be the Saints versus the Dolphins, and again, I think this would be a matchup that would go down into the record books because both of you guys have kind of come from almost the same cloth. Last Madden, both had really decent teams. You both kind of underperformed, and then you come into this Madden, both you guys have just seemed to kind of like turn it on. And you've done it with different styles, but in kind of the same metaphor. I guess you could say, because you come from the slums and now you're rising to the top. Dolphins, he's a little bit more balanced, but he does like to air the ball out too. Obviously, he's got some nice weapons over there with Kenny Stills, and he's got the young quarterback that was a rookie last year, rookie sensation that's just really kind of prevailed and kind of kept that motivation going into this season. He does have a turnover problem, But I think he's going to solidify that in the postseason. I think he's going to take care of the ball a little bit better, and then he's going to really push to get into the OMFL Bowl. Now, with this matchup of the Saints versus the Dolphins, again, the Saints bring in a very stout, stingy defense that's always flying to the ball. The 3 times that I played you this season, I mean, your defense reacts so quick. I mean, any play that you do, they're right on top of it. And then I've also played the Dolphins, and there is some similarities to y'all's game, and he also prevailed against me in the game that we played. With that said, I think the Dolphins are going to pull this one out. It's going to be a shootout, and we're going to look at the OMFL Season 82 Bowl going down to 30-28, and be crowning Mr. Kev and the Dolphins in the end as our OMFL 82 champion.
There we have it, Mr. Kevin. He's really going to love that pressure now. It's going to be your Season 82 OMFL champion, Mr. Dawson. How do you see this one playing out, my friend?
Yeah, so I had the Seahawks and the Colts in the bowl, and like I said earlier, I think we're a copycat league with much like the NFL. We see something going and we follow it, and much like these teams, they're very similar on paper. You look at their stats. They're very similar. Top 5 offensive and top 5 defensive team, both. So it's, I don't know. It's kind of, just kind of flip of a coin. But I don't know if Dakota's like sacrifices one of his cows every game or something. But, every call he makes, it goes his way, and that's the same thing with Mo. So I don't know what he does in Cali. I don't know what they do, but before a game
they sacrifice grapes.
Yeah, yeah, all that wine. But it's gonna be a tough game, tough, I guess, for me to decide on this. But I gotta lean on the side of the Colts, simply because what they've shown this season is both teams. They got a quarterback, so they can pass. They got a little passing attack, but both rely on their rushing, and at this time, the Colts rushing is 3rd compared to Seahawks 5th. Both Colts are rushing an average of almost 170 yards a game compared to Seahawks 135 a game. I'm going to have to go with the Colts this game. I'm not going to predict the score because I'm always wrong, but I'm going to go with the Colts winning it, which I might be wrong with picking, so sorry, Dakota, but I'm going with Colts winning going back-to-back and winning the Season 82 OMFL Bowl.
Yeah, I had the exact same teams. I had the Colts versus the Seattle Seahawks, a rematch of a game that we've seen, I don't know, it seems like 50,000 times, but that we're not, it's not an old game. It's not like it would be depressing to see those same two teams in it again, just because of it's always a really, really good game, right? Like, those two teams really bring it, and they bring out the best in each other. I remember watching some of those OMFL Bowls back in the past, last Madden, where it was like Seahawks out to a big lead. Colts come back, they're out to a big lead. Seahawks come back and tie it. Colts win it at the end with a field goal. Just like that back and forth between those two teams. And look, yeah, I don't know how many cows Dwayne has, but evidently he's got a lot of them, because he is just always there, just like always consistent. And so have the Seahawks. They've figured out this man. They've kind of rebuilt that team. If another one of you mofos gives the Seattle Seahawks a high #1 draft pick for one of these old players, I'm going to punch you in the balls. Like, you need to be fired. Stop doing it. I don't know why you do it. What's wrong with you people? But he has rebuilt that team, and man, he is really doing some spectacular stuff. So I think this would be a classic matchup. if this is the matchup that happens, though, I don't see how Mo could put it together to beat Dwayne just because of the turnover situation, right? We've got 17 quarterbacks that play for the Seahawks, and they all seem to be turning the ball over. He's kind of picked his guy to be help me out, Wilson. Wilson's his guy, but Wilson has struggled, right? Wilson has turned the ball over some games, and you cannot give Dwayne turnovers because he's not going to turn the ball over. He's got like 3 turnovers in 17 Madden seasons, so he just doesn't turn the ball over. I just don't know how the Seahawks could put together a plan. What would be interesting about that game is it would be the shortest OMFL Bowl in history of OMFL Bowls. It would probably be like a 34-minute game because both of these guys run the ball like crazy, control the clock, and just eat it up. And so it would be a really good game. Again, I think that both teams have great running backs, great offensive lines, but they also both play really good defense, so it would be power versus power. But I do see Dwayne winning his second back-to-back OMFL championship here now. And Mr. Dwayne, if you do listen to the show, I'm still waiting for my photo from your last trophy that we sent you. So, I think that Dwayne's going to be your OMFL Bowl Season 82 champions. And that's how we all see the playoffs coming through. It's going to be fun, man. There's going to be some really, really good games. We should be there probably early next week, depending on how these last few games kind of go. So it'll be fun. Look, guys, get your games in. I know that when you get to week 16 and 17 and you're, a 3-win team, a 5-win team, there's very little motivation to get out there and play. But look, play, because those spoilers can really mess up the seed in the playoffs and give us some matchups that we weren't expecting. And so play hard, play to win, and let's see how things are going to play out. That's going to bring us to our owner-submitted questions, and honestly, we only have one, and that's from our buddy right here on the show, Mr. Dawson. Sorry, I always get messed up because you're both Dawson and get your names messed up in my brain. But since you're here, since you're live, let's go ahead and just let you ask this question live. What was your question, and tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, I had 3 questions, but I think Seagram's Gen sponsored the other 2, so I delete those. we'll talk about those later. But this one...
Is that why I see modified 10 hours ago, 37 minutes ago, 34 minutes ago?
Yeah. So, yeah, I deleted that because it didn't make sense when I reread it this morning.
Did I really write that?
But anyways, my question is, more guys are learning how to use their other positions than just the D-line. And that's great for the league overall, because now we got more, I guess, a disparity of, where, you're never going to, when you drop back to pass, you see one guy on the right end. Oh, well, that means I can attack, the left side, the right side, or anywhere, or vice versa. My question is it appropriate to take advantage of the flaws that the other players are creating? And my example is, say a guy is using his safety, and every play he plays run first, and when I mean run first, he runs straight to the line. And does that allow that player B, the other player, to call more play action? And I just kind of just curious on your opinion on that. And that's just one example. I see a few other examples where, like you said, FPR wise, the zone, the linebackers, they play outside the zone a little bit. Or you can favor calling more slants or or whatever, and that kind of, I guess, it gets in what is FPR as far as are you following FPR when you calling this, or same thing when you see guys load the box up, you kind of have to change your game plan up, but you don't want to change it too much because then you're calling too much, vice versa. Just kind of curious on what your opinion, or both y'all's opinion. About making the guy, I guess, when he makes a mistake, I guess make it
make him pay for it.
Yeah, make him pay for it. Excuse me. Just curious on that.
Maniac, I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, because the way I approach it, and again, I've said this before and stuff. I think any position could probably if you look at it and really study it, how if someone's controlling the safety all the time, linebacker all the time and stuff, everybody seems to have issues with falling into tendencies. You have a tendency to kind of flow out of your zone maybe a little bit too much sometimes on a linebacker or like as a safety. Your first instinct is to come down and help crash on a run play. Because to get that extra guy coming down quickly, because if a guy creases that hole that's made, it's be a big game. So you want to. But I have approached it basically this season as I'm switching across the board. I'm a couple plays I may play on the defensive end, a couple plays I may play middle linebacker, outside linebacker, a couple plays cornerback, safety, the other safety, and it's kind of helped me grow and understand exactly what's going on with each player and on each play. How the safety on a cover 3 should react and stuff. But with what you said about making a player kind of pay, stepping up, out. For instance, like you said, the safety. If I've noticed on the first couple first downs, if I'm running the ball, pretty much, if I started off my drive with the run, and I notice that he starts creeping down, I've got setting my my hot routes or my audibles where I can audible to either a play action pass or something that could definitely pick on that weakness that he's going to create, because most safeties in our league are pretty slow. You got guys that are the 86, 87 speed up into the 90s. Now, if you get a guy that's got like 93 speed playing safety, then it's going to be a little bit, I guess, make a mismatch because they have repeated the other guys. If I see that happening a lot, yeah, I'm probably going to take a chance more often than not to try to maybe to get him to second guess that situation. Now, can it be abused? I think it can be abused. I think crashing down the safety every play, that if you're auto-one every time to a play action pass, then that's abusing. But if it's strategic, then I don't have.
Yeah, I think this is what's being created with FPR, right? Like, I think it's human nature. The competitive juices start to flow in a lot of really high competitive people, such as our buddy Maniac here on this show, will find ways to get that advantage, but within the rules. And I don't want that to be taken negative, because it's not negative. Like, that's what competitive people do, to try to find, like, how can I play within these rules but still find ways to play to my strengths. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's not a negative statement at all. I think that there are some members, right, that are so competitive, that want to win so bad, that they're going to push things to the very limits, right? And even to a point where I've seen that guys are using FPR in the reverse way. And what I mean by that is they are using it to where you're using FPR to actually... you're using FPR to help control what the other guy is doing, so that you know what he has to do, so that you can take advantage of it, if that makes sense. So, for instance, the biggest thing that I see is guys will come out in a 1 tight end, 2 running back, 2 receiver set on a 3rd and long, because they're trying to use FPR to say, well, the other guy now has to play a 3-4 or 4-3 against me, which allows me an easier chance to not have to face a nickel or a dime, right? So that's taking advantage of an FPR to circumvent the system and put a person at a negative or at a disadvantage. So I'll say that in those instances, what we see is these gray areas coming up. You're not, like, FPR is not here to handicap players. It is here to, and now my wife's going to get up and make a zillion tons of noise. But it is here to help keep things fair and even. So I have zero problem if a guy is using a safety, which I've seen a lot lately. Again, I just, if you're going to use a player, you should be holding L1 at the snap of the play. Now, after the snap, if you think you know it's coming, if you want to let go of L1 and go crash or do whatever, I'm fine with that. I just have a problem. I have a problem with guys crashing with safeties every play and then quickly trying to get their butts back to where they were. Because you're so far off the ball, you can do that, right? But if it is a run, you can crash. It's like having an extra defender in the way. Hold on a second. I'm trying to move some stuff so that my wife can sit down. Anyway, that is not like what FPR is created for. That is not why it's here, and that's not what it's supposed to be about. So I've just taken you the scenic route to say, if you want to play action a guy, if you want to, if you want to do things that allow you to take advantage of him taking advantage of things, if that makes sense. Like if he's crashing you every play, and so your answer is I'm going to play action you more often, I'm totally fine with that, as long as it's not like every pass play is a play action, right? But it does make it difficult because guys are crashing, right? And it's going to be the next big thing that I have to deal with, right? Like this year it was cover 1, cover 3, stack of the box. So now guys are like, okay, well, I'll play cover 1, but I'm going to man a line, which is going to put both my safeties back. And at the snap of the ball, boy, I'm crashing hard. Some of me says, like, do what you need to do to make that guy pay for that. And to be honest, I've even had to get to a point where, look, my game, the reason I've played so well is because I have ran the ball much better this year. I've rebuilt my offensive line. I've turned down on the turnovers, and that's allowed me to win more games. But I will say, like, if I get in the playoffs and a guy's crashing me every single play, I'm going to 3-wide you, and I'm going to start posting you to death, and I'm going to start streaking you to death, and I'm going to start comeback and routing you to death, and I'm going to pass the ball 35 times, and I'm going to pass for 5 touchdowns and no interceptions, and I'm going to do what I got to do, right? Like, if you're going to crash me every single play, then you're going to get what you asked for. Just like we said on defense, right? Because the reverse is true on defense. Guys are starting to play 2 tight end offenses and then saying, well, you can't stack the box against my 2 tight end offense. Well, now I'm using FPR to my advantage, right? Because now I have 2 heavy tight ends on whichever side. I can run the ball to that side. The guy can't stack the box. I get an advantage. That's not allowed, right? We put in the rule to say if the offensive alignment stacks the box on defense just because of the way you aligned on offense, that's allowed. A guy can stack the box all day. If you're going to run 2 tight end, twin wide receiver with 2 tight ends on the right or the left, and it gives you that heavy formation, that stacked formation, the defense is automatically going to stack the box because those players are going to come down to cover who they're covering. It's totally allowed, right? If you're going to play that type of offense, then the defense has the opportunity to do what they need to do to protect themselves. Same is true on offense. If a guy's crashing you every play and you want to play action him to death, you want to 3-wide him to death, then I think you have an argument. You have a valid argument of saying, look, I played 55% 3-wide. I play action 55% because if you watch the film, he crashed me every single play. And when I say crash, I don't mean like 1 step in, but I mean like coming 5, 8, 10, 12 yards in every single play as soon as the ball is snapped. In my opinion, you're totally allowed to do that, right? Because the other guy is doing some things that that forces your hand. Because there's nothing worse, again, like you guys are saying, there's nothing worse than trying to establish the run call, and you know that every first and second down, he may not have an 8 in the box, but he's crashing with the safety every play. It's just frustrating. It's annoying. Yeah, it's like the answers to that are running sweeps away, stretch plays away, counters away, play action, right? Like you have the opportunity to do what you have to do to counteract that guy crashing and try to stop him from crashing and still stay in FPR, right? Like the number one FPR rule is don't do the same things over and over and over. And so you can still do that and stay inside FPR. Does that make sense? I know I rambled a little bit there, but I hope that connects some dots for some people.
Yeah, it makes sense completely, and so yeah. I mean, I know, like you said, it's all about don't abuse it or anything like that, and yeah, it completely makes sense. And I'm just trying to get y'all's opinions on it, exactly how, because I felt the same way. As like if I see somebody's crashing all the time, and which I know there's a lot of times where I think it's a play action, and I'm gonna go for the run too.
Yeah.
And the same thing with linebackers too. Your first instinct is, oh well, this guy's going to run, and so I'm just going straight to the gap no matter what. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I figure that I guess more of a like you said, just I guess making him pay, for a I guess the instinct that he makes right off the bat, instead of looking at the play and looking at what's happening.
I would say again, just like you just said. The same is true reverse. If a guy is play actioning all game and that's causing the safety to crash, then you can't say, well, he crashed his safety all game. Well, no. Yes. You play action and fooled him all game. And so, like you can't cry foul against somebody for doing something that's what you want them to do, right? If I'm play actioning you, I want you to crash so that I can get over the top of you. And if you call it play action versus me, look, I'm a user safety. I L1, so I try to keep myself inside the play the way the computer would a lot. But I also try to make plays, and I do that okay. And I also have a fast safety, right? And arguably the best safety in the league. So if you play action me and I crash because I think you fooled me, like I think it's a run and I'm coming to make a play, not crashing at the snap, but I just crash because I see it's going to be a handoff. And then because my guy is a good player, he's fast, and I'm able to recover and go make a play on you, then you can't cry foul. Like, you just got to give me my due that I made a play on a play that I should have been burnt, right? And so it is that fine line and that balance. But I'm also not going to do that 12 times a game, right? Like that's going to happen, twice a game or whatever in a very normal situation. So it is a fine line. And there it is. And there's the silence of I don't know what else I should be saying. All right, let's put a bow on the show. Let's wrap things up. Mr. Dwayne was sleeping with the cows all day. Poor guy's been working a ton lately. So let's put a bow on the show. Mr. Dawson, we'll toss it over to you. Wrap it up.
Yeah, going back to the old sheet, like I said last podcast, it's been kind of slow the late stretch of this season, but I think the winners are kind of right now are kind of set in stone for the moment. Right now the same place, like I said in the podcast, got me in first place, $4,700. Then you got Mo at $4,500. I know he's looking for that one incentive that I can't get, so I think he's going to play it safe the next 2 weeks. Which I just remember I didn't post one for week 16, so I apologize for all that. But and Dwayne is setting at $1,600. So those are the I guess the standings so far. Toilet Bowl, I'm going to post something later today. It's just a sign-up page for all the ones that know that they're out of the playoffs already and are interested in trying to get a incentive point or a incentive. And then they can post, and then we can get that ready to go when we first move into playoffs. I guess we're moving to playoffs sometime next week.
Can I say one quick thing about the Toilet Bowl? Like, Dawson puts a lot of work into this, guys, and I don't know what other league awards you for not making the playoffs. Like, we try to give you an opportunity here to earn an award and build your team. But it, like, as the commissioner, it drives me insane when we're, 2 weeks into the, not 2 weeks, but 2 days into the off season. So you've had all playoffs, a couple days into the offseason, and we're still waiting to give the Toilet Bowl winner, right? Like, get these games done. Like, Dawson's put in the work. He's scheduling it. He's making it easy. Do the work. Get the games done. Get them played, and get them in. So that's my one little mini rant about it.
Yeah, and like I said, the award is 1 incentive point or attribute point. So yeah, it does kind of go a long way. You know, you can throw that point on one guy's zone or a tackling or whatever, and that might be a make it or break it for the next season, at least as far as a starter or a backup.
You know what? Is that the one? Is it like just something for the first place guy? 1 incentive point?
Yes, and I'm always up for trying to rearrange the awards. So I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make the call. We're gonna because you worked so hard on this. I want people to want to play and get this done. We're bumping it to 3 incentive points, so you get 3 points that you can use
there we go, guys.
either on a play within the FPR rules, right? But we're gonna make it a real incentive. 3 points is not gonna make or break us. It's not like we're giving out 50 points. It's 3 freaking points. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
So 3 points. I'm giving Dawson permission. You can do 3 points on a player, and I'll even say second place can have the 1 point. So even if you just make the championship game in the Toilet Bowl, 3 points for the winner. Second place gets 1 point. You can spread those out between 3 players, 2 players, or 1 player. It has to be within the FPR. There's certain attributes you can't change. There's capped out at 90. All those normal FPR rules, but I want to give him a little bit more power. I gave Maniac a little more power. I'm sure he's going to talk about his fun things that he's been working super hard on. So, yeah, get those games played, man. Dawson works so hard for these incentives and these other things that we do. Let's get them played. Let's get them done. Mr. Maniac, put a bow on the show, buddy.
All right. Well, hey, sign me up for the toilet. That's awesome. Fantasy football is making its return. I know there was a lot of disappointment that it didn't finish out the season, and nobody was more disappointed than me when the Google Doc crashed and everything. I was really upset about it and stuff, but there was also some nicks and stuff that was in my idea that I really didn't flush out real well. But now I've got guys like Mo and Cincy helping me with some ideas and stuff, and it's finally came to fruition a little bit, and it's going to be up and running. We're actually going to do tests for the very last week, so be looking for a PM from me. We're going to go through kind of how it works. There is a blog up right now about it on the main site, so I haven't posted that out yet because I was kind of waiting to unveil it officially. But if you have been on the site, you probably have seen it already. But it is going to make its return. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to do any defensive stats because Daily does not track fantasy stats after that week on the defense. Once the main fantasy section takes off for the next week, there's no way to find the defensive stats, so you kind of have to search. So we're going to get rid of that, simplify it a little bit. You're going to basically have a team that you're going to field each week. You're going to have a bench of players, and they're all going to be available to score points that week for you. You can pick from your top player, from your bench to your starter, and then you'll submit that through Google Doc. Anyway, there is a blog about it. It goes into detail all that you should. And I think it's going to be fun. Really haven't nailed down what's going to be the incentive, but there is going to be some incentive points or dev trait upgrade, something like that for the winner. And then we're also going to have runner-up. So there's going to be some kind of incentive for you to get involved. Like I said, there is so much stuff here on this site within the OMFL that's immersive. If you're not enjoying something besides playing, it's on you. I mean, there's just stuff everywhere to do. You got the Press Fest Live going on, different things. Just it's a fun place to be in. We also got the Pro Bowl. The votes are in. I think we've still got somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 owners that have not submitted votes yet. So if you get a chance to get those in for us. but there is a lot of participation in that, a lot of close races, so your votes will count. There was a few positions added to some of the heavier positions in the league, like wide receiver. We added one to that, cornerback, DBs. We added one to that, running back. Some of those high-profile positions, so we added one to each one of those. But it's been fun. Hope everybody participates in it, and I hope you appreciate it. I know some of the guys that look at the list, well, this guy didn't make it, this guy didn't make it. Basically,
my punter.
How I go about getting the list, and it's kind of this, and it's the reason why it takes so long. I spent approximately about 9 hours going through the list, and I try to get it to where no team, say for instance like an offensive line, no team has more than 2 players per position within the vote, because there were some teams, I think like the Cowboys may have been one, that their whole offensive line could have been submitted for the Pro Bowl, because they were, it may have been another team, I don't remember it out correctly which team it was. It doesn't really matter, but I would like to get the love spread across the board. You know, you don't want just to have to pick from certain guys all the time. You know, this gives a chance to spread the love across the board for everybody in the league, and hopefully, you know, your guy got represented. But if he didn't, there was reasons why, because I just looked at different variables, like how the team performed offensively, rushing, passing, how efficient they were, and other areas of the game and stuff. So there's a lot that went to it, and I hope you guys appreciate it, because I love everybody here.
Yeah, I love the Pro Bowl. It's my favorite thing that we do. I think you do a really, really great job. Offensive line is the only one position that I think that every year I find 4 or 5 guys. I'm like, God, I wish I could vote for these guys, but they're not on the list. But I do see how hard it is, and I don't know. I'd like to see maybe the offensive line grow just a little bit. And then my punter, which I coughed, and you didn't even react to. Like, I was like, my punter, you didn't even react, so I had to get a reaction out of that. But look, go vote for it. The Pro Bowl is so much fun. It is one of my favorite things that we do here. And look, Maniac, again, are the incentives changing for that? Because I know you and I had some discussions. You guys had one little idea I didn't love, and that kind of, you know, didn't veto, but I didn't love it either. But are the incentives changing? Do you need a little boost in incentive points here, like I just did for Dawson? Like, I want guys to want to participate in there, and we get such a high participation in the vote. I want to get these last little 10 votes in.
I think the Pro Bowl, I think the incentives, I don't think anybody has said negative about the Pro Bowl incentives, but yeah, the offensive line deal, I think that we may expand it next season to having 20 offensive linemen listed, and we may do like what is required in the league. Maybe we could go 8 offensive linemen. You know, we're required to have 8 on a team, maybe somewhere between that, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Possibly being so you kind of have your backups along with your starting lineup.
And look, whatever you do, I think it's going to be great. I love the Pro Bowl. It's like the top 20 coaches that I know will come back this summer. It's just one of my favorite things that we do. And I appreciate all the hard work that you've put in, even into the fantasy of figuring that out. I did just send Daddy Leagues a message asking about the defensive stats that may be a flaw that he could fix for us. So I don't know. We'll see if we can get an answer on that. But thanks for all that hard work. I just love these additions. Again, there are a lot of great leagues out there and a lot of guys who do some innovative stuff. But I think that we try to stay on the cusp of being innovative, adding in a fantasy league, adding in the Pro Bowl, the awards show, the off-season voting awards. Like, I don't know, just I love everything that we do, and it is a lot of work, and it just speaks to the dedication that people have here and that they put into making sure that these things, from Dawson every week to doing this, Bill and Kevin doing the scheduling, Maniac every single year doing Pro Bowl and incentives and like all these other things, like the coach top 20 every season, like just so much really hard work. To Dwayne watching hours of film. Yeah, so I think that's where I'm going to kind of wrap things up for me. Is we are coming towards the end of the season. I think the off-season or the in-season awards votes will be up this weekend. I know Colin's working on getting that up. I hope that the award show will be out right as we get towards the end of the playoffs, and we can roll right into the off-season. Later this weekend, I'm going to update all the off-season threads, and just it's time to start thinking about that. We're going to be in the playoffs by early next week, and then we're going to be off and running. And so where I'm going to leave off is FPR. I've been kind of on FPR rants the last couple of weeks. I will say that we have to implement this rule of making you guys watch your own films. It's just it's overwhelming. It's too much, and you guys have to invest into this league, invest into your own team, invest into your own games, and go watch your own film. I think it'll help you decide, was this an FPR break or not an FPR break. It'll help you decide, was this bad or not bad, and it'll help you get better at your FPR, because you're going to have to watch your own game and go, oh, I kind of see my own tendencies. And it helps you make our job easier by giving timestamps, by giving legit numbers and not just guessing. Had an owner the other day message me saying the guy did 80% tosses. We watched the game. It was 50-50 on the dot. I think it may have been 52-48, but it was, it was not 80-85% like he thought, right? And so if you go watch your own film, you'll then see it, and I don't have to waste other people's time. It's your game, it's your film. Please go watch those and get it in. So, yeah, it's been a great season. I can't wait to wrap it up. And lots of content. Here's where you can find us, grownfolksoc.com. That's our website. Tons of blogs are out. Tons of content. I always push our WWE League, but we're in our first pay-per-view. Some really great storylines. So go check us out there. Lots of really, really fun stuff. 6 Madden Leagues. The PUBG clan is rolling. You can find us on Twitch, GrownFolksOC on Twitch. Tons of videos there, tons of clips. There's 82 videos. We got 100 followers there. We live stream a ton of NBC and OMFL guys whenever they live stream. Then our YouTube page, youtube.com/C/Grown Folks Online Community. This is where you can find all of our videos. There's over 2,000 videos on here, so you can watch content from PUBG to Madden to WWE to FIFA. There's all kinds of stuff up there. And then finally our Twitter page, so twitter.com/GrownFolksOC. So you can go follow our Twitter. If you give us a follow, we'll give you a follow back. We did a t-shirt giveaway a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Maniac won the t-shirts, and congratulations to him. But yeah, it is a way that we can push and find more followers and get more people plugged into our community here. So exciting things. This is also the season where unfortunately a lot of Madden leagues begin to fold, and so there are definitely rumors floating out there that a couple of Madden leagues that are folding may come and join the Madden leagues that we have here. Those owners come and join our community. So you may see a bunch of new community members joining here over the next couple of weeks. So make sure that we welcome them and thank them for joining us and kind of make them feel welcomed. Yeah, make them feel part of the community. You guys do that really, really well. And yeah, now it's time to go watch some NFC Championship game. I think I got to play the Bucs here too to wrap up week number 16. So lots of fun things as we get to the close of our end of our season, and it's been fun. So thank you guys for taking time on your Saturday. I hope that everybody has a really great week. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Dilly dilly.
Later.